Kim McF. In the expert witness, Jesse Prince mentions inserting R6 end words, or R6EW, into Scientology's legal documents to make the judge feel antagonistic towards Scientology's enemies. In his words, "So, we are lacing our legal briefs with magic spells against our enemies, and this was not a joke." I've Googled around and found very little information on R6EW. What can you tell us about this? How are they supposed to work, and what are some of these words? Okay, this is the part of the bridge or the steps of indoctrination into Scientology that are some of the maddest. And actually only a small percentage of Scientologists, although I heard at one point it was getting up in percentage, and it might even be up to 40, 50% now. But I don't think so. I think it's still a fairly small number of Scientologists do what's called the alternate clear route. Okay, so there are two ways when you're going up this bridge to total freedom in Scientology, which I've shown you guys many times. You have these steps, you have these levels, and there's a place where you get a bunch of Dianetics auditing called New Era Dianetics, and this was developed in the late 70s. This is Dianetics auditing with an e-meter. It's got its own procedures. You're supposed to do that and go clear on that step. That's how you're supposed to get clear, and most Scientologists get to the state of clear doing that. But some people get through the whole NED, New Era Dianetics step, and it's a series of actions, about 16 different steps on it, and they're not clear. They haven't given the clear cognition, which they haven't said the words, oh, hey, I'm mocking up my own reactive mind. I'm creating my own reactive mind. They don't come to that realization for whatever reason, and not really any reason they should. It's all kind of made up anyway. So, but anyway, they finish that step. They're not clear. They're going to do this alternate series of steps that not everybody does. The first step is called Power and Power Plus, two little steps in one, which is supposed to deal. It's deals with your ability to handle and control and have power. And then there is this R6EW step after that. These are not areas of Scientology that I know a whole lot about because I didn't do these steps, and they are all confidential. So all I really know about them is what I've read from all the confidential materials that I've downloaded from the internet, which gives the procedure and stuff. And and the thing about it is, I just read through all of this before I did this episode, and it's confusing as hell. So so I can't give you a straight, it's step 1, step 2, step 3, and there you go. And here are the end words. It doesn't work like that. You come up with your own end words, okay? And the shortest possible explanation I can give you for this, that'll make the most sense, I think, is L. Ron Hubbard said that not only for those of you who are familiar with what I've said about Dianetics in the past, you have this reactive mind. And it contains all the collection of stress and trauma and accumulation of incidents that you've experienced in your past, this lifetime and all the lifetimes in going back all the way to the beginning, that contain pain and unconsciousness. Any incident that contains pain and unconsciousness is stored in the reactive mind, and those are called engrams. For a long time, most Scientologists thought that's all that was in the reactive mind. But in the 60s, L. Ron Hubbard started talking about this other thing that actually makes up the core of the reactive mind. And this was a new discovery in the 60s, and this discovery was GPMs, goals, problems, masses. These black masses that make up the reactive mind. So, okay, what's a goals, problem, mass? Well, somewhere along the line in your past, you've had a goal. To catch criminals, to do good, to accumulate wealth through any means possible, to do bad, to destroy people. I mean, your goals could be limitless, but you've had a goal. That goal is opposed, by an opposing goal. If your goal as a law enforcement type goal is to, enforce the law, well, the counter goal is to break the law. or to violate the law, or to get rich despite the law. Or, you could have lots and lots of counter goals to that. So you have a goal, and the goal is, there's actual, in Scientology, this is all Scientology, okay? Again, I have to always put these little disclaimers in the middle of my things. None of this is true, okay? I'm just telling you what Hubbard said. So these goals have energy. You could spend a whole lifetime, or even a series of lifetimes, on just one goal, just going for it. You, as a spiritual entity, have decided, okay, you know what? I don't want to be a criminal anymore. I want to be a cop, right? I want to enforce the law. I don't want to break the law. So you change the goal. You have this series, you have this goal, you've carried it with you for a long time. You flip it. And maybe this was, 70 million years ago. You flipped it, and you had a whole series of lifetimes with the goal to enforce the law. And that goes for so long, and you put so much energy into it, and you really work at it, and it's a life goal, and you go through all these lifetimes of this as your primary goal. Of course, you have other goals. You get married, you get kids, you get a job, all the other little things that make up a life. I'm talking primary life purpose type of goal. Big deal. So you have that. Then, Hubbard said, at some point along the line, it flips again. And it flips back and forth and back and forth. And then, or you might adopt a whole new goal. So you go from a cop to a robber, to a cop to a robber, to a cop to a robber. You see it flips. Or you go from, soldier to saint, or, president to, guy in the street, poor homeless person, right? Leader, follower, like down in the bottom. There are these opposite ideas is the idea of this. So you got the goal, and you got the counter goal, which is the opposition you run into during that lifetime or series of lifetimes, because you're going to be opposed by criminals. Let's say you're a cop. And there's energy that builds up because of that resistance in your reactive mind. And this goal causes mental mass and accumulation to build up because of all the, spiritual energy, I guess, you're feeding into this. I mean, really, don't ask me too many deep questions about this, because there are no answers. This is exactly how Hubbard asserts this stuff. So you can't really go a whole lot deeper. It's like, well, what's creating the energy, and where is it stored exactly? And what kind of energy? And could you measure it? Don't even bother with any of that. Hubbard didn't. Okay, so the idea is that this energy mass is called a GPM, a goals problem mass, because it's a problem. You got a goal, somebody else is opposing your goal, that's a problem for you, and it creates this mass. Okay, I think you get the idea. The mass accumulates in your reactive mind over lifetimes and lifetimes, and over the trillinia you have existed, you've got hundreds, maybe thousands of these things accumulated in your reactive mind that sort of form the fundamental basis of your reactive mind. So this is the step where you start addressing those GPMs. And R6EW has something to do with that, because these end words, the words, have to do with the wording of your goals. Okay, so like I said, it gets a little confusing, and I could be a little off on this. I'm only interpreting these materials that I've read. But the way I understand it is that you, on this step, you start, there's questions you ask yourself, like I think it's like, what am I dramatizing? Meaning, what are you pulling out of your bank and acting on? So you have all these goals stored there, and this would be the question that would lead to getting to what those goals were. So, like, for example, if you had a goal to enforce the law, well, the end word of that goal is the word law. That's a noun. It has to be a noun. End words have to be nouns, right? Goals have to be action noun, right? So, again, according to Hubbard. So, to pursue criminals might be a goal. So criminals is the end word. And the opposite end word of criminal would be cop, right? This has to be opposites, oppositions. So the opposing end word for criminal might be cop. The opposing end word for fat would be thin. The opposing end word for, black would be white, right? Always opposites. Not just a different idea, but an actually opposite idea. And you figure out what these end words are at the first step of this R6EW and write these things down. And then you're going to do solo auditing. So you're going to be auditing yourself to address these end words using Scientology, the Scientology sort of process, and to sort of pop them out. And what this is supposed to do is sort of relieve some tension and some surface charge and sort of, get some of the black energy out of these GPMs, these goals problem masses that are making up the core of your reactive mind. So you've gone below the engrams and the moments of pain and unconsciousness, and now you're getting to the real cement of the reactive mind. That's what this is all about. And then you continue on this step, and then you do the next step after you finish the R6EW step. Then there's a step called the clearing course, and you're going to dive in and really start taking these things apart. That's how I understand it. If I'm completely wrong about this and I've misunderstood all of the Scientology materials on this matter, maybe somebody who has done this stuff can explain it in the comments or write to me about it. But that's how I understand this process to work. And yeah, it's pretty weird. I mean, like I said, everything I just gave you was the simplest way I could think of to explain it. So when he talks about throwing these end words into legal documents to upset judges, I mean, this is just magical thinking nonsense. Judges probably skimmed over and went, that makes no sense whatsoever, and just moved right on. But Scientologists thought that, maybe some of the more common end words, or maybe at a later step in the thing, there are some pat end words that were given out that everybody's supposed to have. Like maybe everybody's got the goal to live a sunshine life or something, right? So life is one of the end words, that when we just know that's going to be one of the end words, according to what Hubbard said. So that would be one of the things you would list. So, like I said, this is all pretty nonsensical stuff, but I think I gave you a good enough idea, a glimpse at it to get kind of how nuts it can get. So there you go.